In an elegant old mansion on the hill of a quiet town, lived Samuel, a venerable 72-year-old man, with an aura of discreet dignity. His life, marked by the absence of his wife, was filled only by the echoes of a vibrant past, now silenced by loneliness. The house, once filled with laughter and family joy, now seemed to murmur only the echoes of memories. Samuel, widowed for more than a decade, carried not only the inheritance of a substantial fortune, but also the weight of an emotional void that his children were unable to fill. His wife, heiress of one of the most influential families in the region, had left not only valuable assets, but also a space that was difficult to occupy. Samuel, with his silver hair and still vibrant gaze, preferred to keep much of his wealth a secret, even from his own children. His 5 children, successful in their careers and personal lives, moved away, rarely visiting the house and leaving Samuel in a sea of increasing loneliness. Samuel's days were filled with the constant company of Emily and Sophia, his dedicated maids. Emily, with her robust presence and warm smile, kept the house in order, knowing every corner and every secret hidden in the old drawers. Sophia, with her soft speech and deft hands, prepared dishes that offered a modicum of comfort and pleasure. Together, they were more than employees. They were Samuel's surrogate family, bringing a lightness to his daily life. Despite his efforts to find comfort in routine with Emily and Sophia, the loneliness persisted. Samuel spent hours in his office, surrounded by photographs of his late wife and children at various stages of their lives. Calls to his children often resulted in cold messages and perfunctory responses, but his grandson, Evan, stood out as an exception. Evan, a dynamic young man dedicated to his studies, always found time to connect and be interested in Samuel's stories. His presence was a ray of light amid the gloom of Samuel's lonely days. Evan was curious and kind, seeing Samuel as a source of wisdom and inspiration. However, Samuel had a deep concern: the concealment of his fortune. He feared that by revealing the extent of his wealth, his children would come closer only out of interest rather than genuine love. Samuel wanted, above all, a true reunion with his family, not out of obligation, but out of unconditional love. As he waited for that day, Samuel clung to the remaining little joys, like Evan's visits and Emily and Sophia's care. He maintained a disciplined routine, taking morning walks through the quiet streets of the neighborhood, where he greeted neighbors and cultivated simple friendships. Even with his effort to maintain a calm appearance, Samuel carried a silent pain, wondering what he had done wrong to make his children move away. Her life continued with a thread of hope, fed by Evan's presence and the small joys of everyday life. Samuel attended classical music concerts and lost himself in fiction books, seeking solace in the beauty of art and in the stories that transported him away from loneliness. In the quietest moments, when the loneliness became more palpable, he retreated to his office, trying to find answers in the photos and memories of his family. Her hope remained alive, fueled by Evan's love and the belief that the family flame was still burning, waiting to overcome any distance. A new day had begun when, suddenly, adversity presented itself to Samuel. On a morning like many others, when he got out of the shower after his morning walk, a slip caused him to fall on the cold floor, feeling a sharp pain in his left leg. Emily, hearing the bang, ran to help him, but the pain and difficulty in movement were evident. After the fall, Samuel was taken to hospital and diagnosed with a sprained ankle. Despite the severity being less than expected, the pain was a painful reminder of her physical and emotional fragility. Samuel decided to warn his children about the incident, but the responses he received were cold and disinterested, further deepening his feeling of abandonment. Samuel found himself immersed in a loneliness so dense that he could almost touch her, as if she were enveloping him in a suffocating embrace. Sadness felt like a constant weight on his shoulders, making the environment around him a veritable labyrinth of desolation. He questioned himself endlessly about where he had gone wrong, why his children were so distant and indifferent. The physical pain in his ankle seemed a distant echo to the emotional pain that accompanied it, forming an unbearable burden on his tired heart. That afternoon, the hospital room door opened with a soft creak, and Evan hurried inside. His pale face revealed genuine concern, reflected in his eyes that shone with deep care. He had left work and commitments behind upon receiving the news of his grandfather's condition, rushing to be by his side. Seeing Samuel lying on the bed, with an expression of exhaustion and pain, Evan quickly approached and took his hand. "Grandpa, how are you? Are you feeling a lot of pain? Do you need anything?" Evan asked, anxiety weighing down his voice. Samuel, despite the discomfort and overwhelming feeling of loneliness, smiled calmly. "I'm fine, my boy. It was just a scare. My ankle hurts a little, but the doctors have already given me medicine for the pain. I'll be better soon." Evan, relieved but still uneasy, didn't fail to notice the sadness in his grandfather's eyes. "I'll stay here with you tonight. Don't worry about anything. I've got your back." Evan's presence was a balm for Samuel, bringing immense comfort in the midst of his pain. During the night, young Neto settled into a chair next to the bed, refusing to leave, even when the nurses insisted that he go home to rest. Evan's dedication became a source of joy for Samuel, a reminder that there was still someone who truly cared. While Evan slept in his makeshift chair, Samuel spent the night in reflection. The ankle was still uncomfortable, but nothing compared to the emotional pain of realizing the absence of her children. He remembered the moments when he sacrificed himself to ensure that they lacked nothing, in addition to the affection and love he offered to each of them. Now he felt abandoned, as if all his efforts were in vain. However, in that uncomfortable chair, Evan represented everything that was still worth fighting for. He was living proof that love still existed, even if it was only found in one family member. Samuel knew he couldn't change his children's past or attitudes, but he decided to value and nurture his special relationship with Evan. The night at the hospital was long and lonely, with Samuel keeping his gaze fixed on the door, hoping to see one of his other children. He longed for a familiar face, a voice that brought comfort. But the night passed without anyone else appearing. In a moment of weakness, Samuel allowed some tears to flow, feeling the weight of loneliness and rejection. Looking at Evan, who was sleeping in the chair, he wiped away his tears and found strength in the gratitude he felt. From that day on, Samuel decided that he would not allow the absence of his children to defeat him. Instead, he would focus on what was good in his life: a wonderful, devoted grandson who loved him sincerely. Evan's presence was a precious gift, and he promised himself to cherish every moment with his grandson. The next morning, the doctor entered the room with a professional but friendly expression. "Mr. Samuel, I have good news. You are free to go home, but your ankle will need physical therapy to fully recover." Samuel nodded, relieved to be able to return to the comfort of his home. Evan quickly got up, ready to help his grandfather. "Come on, Grandpa. I take care of everything." Evan took care of the discharge papers and helped Samuel get dressed and ready to leave. Together, they left the hospital and returned to Samuel's imposing house. When they arrived, Emily and Sophia were at the door, anxious and relieved to see him. "Thank God. You're okay, Mr. Samuel," exclaimed Emily, while Sophia, with tears in her eyes, gently hugged Samuel. Samuel smiled at his loyal employees and friends. "Thank you, my dears. I'm better thanks to you and Evan." Evan helped Samuel settle into his favorite armchair in the living room. The tiredness of the night before weighed heavily on both of them, but there was a sense of relief in the air. They knew recovery would be slow, but they were determined to face it together. Over the next few days, Samuel began his recovery with the constant support of Evan, Emily, and Sophia. Since physical therapy sessions wouldn't begin until the following week, each day was a step towards her goal, and every little progress was celebrated. Evan accompanied his grandfather every day, helping him with everything he needed. Between daily care, Samuel and Evan further strengthened the bond that united them. They spent hours talking, sharing stories and laughter. Samuel taught Evan about the family secrets and life lessons he had learned over the years, while Evan brought new perspectives and energy into Samuel's life. Upon learning of the accident, Evan took a few days off work to take care of his grandfather. Initially, Samuel protested, saying he didn't want to disrupt his grandson's busy life, but Evan insisted with a stubborn smile. "Grandpa, I want to be here. It's important to me." Moved by Evan's dedication, Samuel relented and allowed him to stay at his home for a few days. The following week, Samuel needed to take care of some financial matters. Evan, always helpful, offered to go to the bank in his place. Confident in his grandson, Samuel handed over the password to his bank account and explained what needed to be done. Evan went to the bank with determination to help his grandfather with whatever he needed. Upon accessing the account, Evan was shocked by the astronomical balance, much higher than he had imagined. Although he knew that his grandfather had a comfortable life financially, he had no idea of the true extent of his fortune. The amount was impressive, a sum capable of changing anyone's life. He felt a whirlwind of emotions. On the one hand, he was impressed and confused. On the other, he felt an even greater responsibility to take care of his grandfather and protect his fortune from malicious people. He took care of the banking matters as his grandfather had asked and returned home with his documents in order, but with growing concern. When he arrived, he found Samuel in the living room, reading a book. Grandpa looked up and smiled when he saw Evan. "Did you manage to resolve everything, my boy?" Evan nodded, but his uneasiness was evident. "Yes, Grandpa, everything is resolved, but I was surprised to see your account balance. I didn't know you had so much money." Samuel sighed, closing the book and placing it on his lap. "I never wanted you or your uncles to know the true extent of my fortune." His grandmother, God rest his soul, was the heiress of one of the richest families in the country. When she passed away, she left me a large sum, as well as real estate and jewelry. I thought that if your uncles knew, they might withdraw even further, thinking only about the money. I wanted them to get closer out of love, not out of interest. Evan sat next to his grandfather, holding his hand. "I understand, Grandpa, and I know you did what you thought was best. But I also think it's important to protect what you've built." Samuel looked at Evan with an expression of gratitude and understanding, knowing that despite the challenges, there was still true love and support around him. Samuel felt a new joy in his heart, a feeling he hadn't experienced in a long time. His grandson Evan's words of support and encouragement made him feel less alone, and Evan's constant presence brought a comforting peace. "Thank you, Evan. Knowing you're by my side is a relief I haven't known in a long time," Samuel said, with a smile that reflected his gratitude. The next morning, Samuel was eager to start his physical therapy sessions, determined to make a full recovery once and for all. The physiotherapist was a 20-year-old woman called Amelia. As she entered the room, she brought with her an aura of warmth and vivacity. With an infectious smile, she greeted Samuel with a firm handshake and began the session with dedication and attention that soon won the old gentleman's trust. "Let's start slowly, Mr. Samuel. I want to make sure you feel comfortable and safe," Amelia said with genuine kindness. Samuel nodded, immediately feeling at ease with the young woman. During the session, Amelia, with her contagious energy, chatted animatedly with Samuel, asking questions about his life, his experiences, and his stories. She showed a sincere interest in the old man's narratives, which encouraged him to share important moments in his life, from his youth to the loss of his beloved wife. Between exercises and stretches, Samuel lovingly described the decoration of his home, a testament to his wife's refined taste, who had taken care of every detail. "You have a very beautiful house, Mr. Samuel. I really like the details in the decoration. It's also welcoming and elegant," Amelia commented during a pause. Samuel smiled, feeling proud. "Thank you, Amelia. My wife had refined taste. Now, this house is a constant reminder of her love and dedication." As the days passed, the physiotherapy sessions became one of Samuel's most anticipated moments. Amelia continued to show a genuine interest in the old man's interests and dreams, and Samuel relished the opportunity to share his stories and wisdom. "Mr. Samuel, have you ever thought about writing a book about your life? Your stories are fascinating," suggested Amelia in one of the sessions. Samuel laughed, shaking his head. "I never thought about it, but it's an interesting idea. Maybe one day, with your help, I can put these stories on paper." Amelia smiled. "I would love to help. I'm sure many people would be inspired by your journey." Over time, Amelia's presence brought a new light to Samuel's life, a brightness he didn't know was missing. Evan also noticed the positive change in his grandfather. "Grandpa, I see the physical therapy is doing you good, and it looks like you've found a great friend in Amelia," Evan noted. Samuel smiled. "Yes, Evan. Amelia is a charming young woman. She reminds me that there is still so much to live for and fight for. Her visits are a real relief to my lonely soul. With Evan's constant support and Amelia's careful attention, Samuel began to see life with new eyes. He realized that, despite the absences and pain of the past, there was still much to be experienced and shared. He decided to make the most of every moment, valuing the small joys and new friendships. With each session, Amelia encouraged him to take another step, and Samuel felt stronger, not only physically but also emotionally. One night, after a session, Amelia made an unexpected invitation. "Mr. Samuel, would you like to have dinner with me tonight?" she asked, with a soft smile. Samuel was surprised. "Me? An old man like me? Why would a young girl like you want to go out with me?" His voice revealed a mixture of confusion and insecurity. Amelia, with a look full of understanding and tenderness, replied, "The body ages, but the spirit stays young, Mr. Samuel. You have a vibrant soul, full of stories and wisdom. I would love to spend time with you outside the environment." Professional. Samuel, touched by the sincerity of Amelia's words, hesitated for a moment, but soon felt warmed by her kindness and invitation. "Very well, Amelia. I accept your invitation." That night, they went to a cozy restaurant. Samuel, dressed in an elegant suit he hadn't worn in a long time, and Amelia, stunning in a simple but elegant dress. During dinner, the conversation flowed naturally. They laughed, shared stories, and discovered a genuine connection. Samuel felt rejuvenated by Amelia's company, and she appreciated his wisdom and charm. The meetings became frequent, and Samuel began buying clothes, not only for himself, but also for Amelia, as a gesture of affection and appreciation. As they walked through the park, Amelia held Samuel's hand and looked into his eyes. "Samuel, I want you to know that what I feel for you is real. It's not just admiration or respect, it's something deeper." Samuel squeezed her hand, feeling a surge of emotion. "Amelia, I also feel something very special for you. You brought a new light into my life, something I didn't expect to find at this stage." Despite the deep intimacy they shared, Samuel never revealed the true extent of his fortune to Amelia. He wanted the relationship to be based on genuine feelings, without the influence of wealth. He continued to live modestly, hiding the true situation of his bank account. As Samuel and Amelia's relationship blossomed, she eventually moved into his house. Samuel was radiant, feeling rejuvenated and full of happiness. However, Amelia's change did not go unnoticed by Samuel's children, who began to question her intentions. They sought out Amelia, expressing their concerns and suspicions, thinking that she was only interested in Samuel's fortune. Samuel, firm in his decision, defended the love he felt for Amelia and his choice to have her in his life. Although he wanted his grandfather to be happy, Evan also found himself torn, understanding the concerns of his parents and uncles, but wanting to believe in the true love between Samuel and Amelia. As the months passed, Samuel became aware of the discomfort and tension his relationship with Amelia caused in his family. He understood their concerns, but his conviction in the love he shared with Amelia remained unshakable. One day, Samuel called Evan for a serious talk. Sitting in the living room, Samuel fixed a serious look on his grandson, feeling the weight of the conversation that was about to begin. He took a deep breath. The words he was about to speak were filled with painful seriousness. "Evan, my boy, there is something I need to tell you. Something that could shake us all." Samuel's voice shook slightly, but he remained firm. "I have decided to sell this house." Evan's eyes widened, surprised and confused. The revelation took him by surprise, and he looked at his grandfather with a mixture of bewilderment and curiosity. "Sell the house? But why, Grandpa?" Samuel sighed. The weight of the secret he carried seemed almost unbearable. I can't afford this house anymore. I can't afford the lifestyle we have here anymore. I'm broke." The word bankrupt fell like a stone into the silence, and Evan was shocked. He knew his grandfather's fortune was considerable, but he had never imagined it was so threatened. After a moment of silence, Evan approached and held Samuel's hands. "Grandpa, no matter what happens, I will be by your side. I will help you with everything you need. Come live with me." Don't worry about money. Samuel, moved, responded with sincere thanks. Thank you so much, Evan. I don't even know what to say. A few days later, Evan decided to face the situation head-on and posted a simple message in the family's group, but it soon proved devastating. Mr. Samuel has decided to sell his house and move into my apartment as he no longer has any money. The news spread quickly, and soon all the family members were at Samuel's house, with expressions of shock and concern. Samuel's 5 sons surrounded him, demanding explanations. "Daddy, what's going on? Why are you selling the house?" asked the eldest son. Samuel took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the words he was about to say. "Children, I am broke. All the money your mother left me is gone." There was a tense silence, broken only by the muffled sound of surprised gasps. Samuel's sons were astonished, unable to believe what they heard. "What do you mean, Daddy? How did this happen?" asked the youngest daughter. Samuel looked down, feeling the shame and sadness weighing him down. "I wasn't careful with my money. I spent more than I should have, invested in things that didn't work out, and now I have nothing left." The revelation came as a shock to the family, who looked around the house, once considered a symbol of security and stability, now about to be sold. Reality began to set in, and they realized that life as they knew it was changing. Samuel took a deep breath, with a sorrowful look reflecting the pain and frustration he felt. He stared at his children with a mixture of sadness and indignation. "You are here now, demanding your share of the house, but where were you when I needed you most? When I was in the hospital, fighting to recover, only Evan was by my side. You didn't take a step towards me, you didn't visit me, they didn't care about what I was going through. And now that I'm selling the house to survive, everyone shows up wanting their share." There was a heavy silence, and the truth of Samuel's words hung in the air like a shadow. The eldest son was the first to break the silence, his voice filled with regret. "Daddy, we made a mistake. We didn't realize how much you were hurting, how much you needed us. Please forgive us." Samuel sighed, touched by his children's sincerity. "I forgive you, my children, but it is important that you understand that this house is all I have now. I will sell it so that I can live with dignity, and I hope that we can find a way to move forward together as a family." Samuel's sons nodded, pledging to support their father as best they could. They knew they had made mistakes, but they were determined to correct their mistakes. With heavy hearts, they said goodbye to Samuel, promising to return soon to help him transition into a new phase of his life. As the family dispersed, Amelia, who had been following the conversation from afar, approached Samuel, her eyes full of concern. "Samuel, what's going on? Why didn't you tell me about this?" Samuel sighed, pretending to feel guilty for not sharing the truth with Amelia sooner. "Amelia, I didn't want you to worry. I was trying to protect you, protect our relationship." She placed a gentle hand on Samuel's face, looking at him tenderly. "It's okay, Samuel. The future belongs to God alone. We never know what awaits us." Over the next few days, Samuel found himself alone, carefully folding his clothes and preparing to move. A message from Amelia arrived on his phone, and he read it with a perplexed expression. Amelia was leaving on a sudden trip, citing the need to be with her parents. It was then that Evan entered the room, finding his grandfather lost in thought. "Grandpa, is everything okay?" Samuel sighed, feeling sadness in his heart. "I need to tell you something about Amelia. I never even kissed her, and now she's decided to leave without giving any more explanations." Evan's eyes widened in surprise. "But, Grandpa, why did you look so happy together?" Samuel shook his head, his voice heavy. "I thought she was here for me, but now I see that all she wanted was my money. She realized that I lost my fortune and chose to leave. I just wanted someone by my side who truly loved me." Evan looked at his grandfather with compassion, feeling the sadness emanating from him. "Grandpa, I'm sorry for everything you're going through, but know that you're not alone. I'll always be here for you, no matter what." Samuel then revealed that he was deeply disturbed when Amelia asked to be included in his will. "Do you believe that, Evan? Not long ago, she asked me to include her in my will or as a beneficiary of my life insurance. I should have suspected beforehand. At the time, I didn't know what to say and I agreed, saying that I would leave her a special legacy. "Grandpa, you can't do that," Evan exclaimed, indignant and worried. "She used you. You can't leave her anything." Samuel, with a mischievous smile and a mischievous gleam in his tired eyes, made an enigmatic promise to his grandson. "Don't worry, my boy. I have something much better planned for her." Evan, perplexed by the answer, decided to trust his grandfather's wisdom, even without fully understanding his mysterious plans. In the days that followed, Samuel abandoned his luxurious home and moved into Evan's modest apartment. The new routine was a challenge for both of them, but they soon found their rhythm. During the day, Samuel spent most of his time alone, while Evan dedicated himself to work and studies. However, upon returning home, Evan did his best to make Samuel's life more comfortable. They shared meals, watched television, and talked about different topics. As the days turned into weeks, Samuel faced new challenges, especially in the kitchen. Used to having a maid to prepare his meals, he had to learn to fend for himself. Fortunately, their neighbor Lily, a 22-year-old who lived next door with her mother, became a constant and welcoming presence. Lily, always kind and helpful, began bringing Samuel breakfast and offering help with household chores, from cleaning to minor repairs around the house. Her warm presence and friendly smile quickly made her a beloved figure in Samuel's life. Over time, the friendship between Samuel and Lily grew stronger. She became for Samuel a figure similar to the granddaughter he didn't have, a young woman he admired and wanted to protect. He affectionately called her "my granddaughter," sharing stories and advice with her, as he did with Evan. Lily wasn't just a neighbor. She brought new light to Samuel's life, making loneliness bearable and filling the void that once existed. Meanwhile, a relationship between Evan and Lily began to blossom, fueled by the wise advice and kind gestures of Samuel, who, in a sense, became an unwitting Cupid. Amelia, on the other hand, was absent, lost in her own world, and did not reach out to Samuel or send news. As the years passed, age began to take its toll on Samuel, bringing illnesses and signs of an imminent end. Finally, he had to admit himself to the hospital. Evan and Lily continued to be his biggest sources of support, visiting him constantly. In a moment of private conversation, Samuel, with a soft and calm voice, revealed to Evan, "My boy, I feel like my journey in this world is coming to an end. I've lived a full life full of love, but now it's time to leave." Evan, with tears in his eyes, held his grandfather's hand, unable to find words. Samuel looked at Evan tenderly and conveyed words of comfort. "Don't cry, my boy. I'm ready to go. I have lived a life full of love and joy, and now it is time to say goodbye." Samuel's words, filled with serenity, contrasted with Evan's pain, who struggled to contain his emotions. "Please, Grandpa, don't go. I'm not ready to lose you," he pleaded. Samuel held Evan's hand lovingly and offered his final words of wisdom. "Cry later, my boy. I had a happy life. I was a happy father despite everything, and that's all that matters." They hugged, sharing a moment of tender farewell. Samuel then made one last request to Evan. "Gather the whole family together on the day of the will. Promise me you will do this for me." Evan, his heart heavy with the pain of parting, nodded. "I promise, Grandpa. I will do it for you." Days later, Samuel left, leaving a void that time could not fill. Evan and Lily, devastated, faced sadness and longing. On the day of the will reading, Evan called together all the family members, including Amelia, who showed up eager to know what Samuel had left her. Gathered around the table, their expressions reflected the gravity of the moment. Samuel's lawyer entered the room, and with a solemn aura, asked for attention to a video recorded by Samuel himself. Samuel's figure appeared on the screen, and his voice echoed through the room with sincerity and emotion. "My dear children, grandchildren, and friends," began Samuel, "I want to share my story, my desires, and my regrets." In the video, Samuel revealed his internal struggles, his loneliness, and his longing for connection and love. He expressed gratitude to Evan and Lily, recognizing them as the true pillars of his support and happiness in recent years. "I was lucky enough to find love and compassion in the arms of Evan and Lily. They gave me more than I could have ever hoped for, and for that, I will be forever grateful," Samuel revealed, with a penetrating look and a voice full of emotion, the deep reasons behind his decision to announce the sale of the house. He wanted more than just to get rid of material wealth. His goal was to test the true essence of his children, showing that, despite their imperfections, his love for them was unconditional. "Actually, I never lost my savings," he said, with a serene smile. "The money was always with me. Selling the house was just an excuse to find out who was really on my side." As Samuel's words reverberated in the room, the atmosphere was charged with palpable emotion. He continued, expressing his gratitude and love for Evan and Lily, the two children who had taught him the true meaning of love, family, and generosity. "I dedicate my heart, my gratitude, and my inheritance to you," he declared, with a sincerity that touched everyone present. As Samuel's video progressed, startling revelations began to emerge, shaping the fate of the inheritance and provoking mixed emotions among viewers. With a calmness worthy of a true sage, Samuel explained his decision to distribute the inheritance in a way that reflected his true intentions. He announced that half of the 15 million reis would go to Evan, in addition to the house he loved so much. It was a significant amount, but exactly what he believed Evan deserved. The next 20% would go to charity, while the remaining 30% would be divided between your children, ensuring that everyone received their fair share. However, the biggest surprise was reserved for Amelia. The young woman, who had become a special figure in her life, would receive Samuel's life insurance, valued at 1 million reis. This gesture symbolized the deep love and gratitude that Samuel felt for her and would guarantee her future financial security. Additionally, Amelia would receive the key to a safe deposit box at the bank, where Samuel kept his precious jewelry. Apparently modest, the gift hid invaluable wealth. With a satisfied smile, Amelia listened to her share of the inheritance, convinced that she had received a smaller portion, but enough to ensure that she would never have to work again. She couldn't wait to discover the jewels hidden in the safe. However, when he opened the safe, he found a bitter and unexpected surprise: a cold cup of coffee and a letter written by Samuel. The words in the letter pierced his heart like a sharp arrow. "My dear Amelia," the letter began, "I leave you this glass of cold, bitter coffee, as well as the love you offered me." Amelia felt her world fall apart. Tears flooded her eyes as her heart broke at the cruel revelation of a man she had tried to seduce to enrich herself at her expense. Desolate and aimless, she left the bank, lost and consumed by sadness and regret. On the other hand, Evan and Lily continued their lives in the house that once belonged to Samuel. They kept alive the memory of the man they loved so much, remembering the precious moments they spent by his side and cherishing the legacy of love and generosity he left behind. For them, the house was not just a home, but a sanctuary of memories and affection, a constant reminder of Samuel's unconditional love. As the years passed, Evan and Lily carried with them not only Samuel's memory, but also his precious teachings and values. In the midst of life's challenges, they found strength and inspiration in the words and example of love that Samuel had provided them. Whenever they felt discouraged, they remembered the lessons that Samuel valued so much. The most important thing in life is to have people by your side who we love and who love us. The rest are just details. With Samuel's memory in their hearts, Evan and Lily lived with gratitude and joy, embracing every moment and every shared memory. They spread kindness and compassion wherever they went, knowing that as long as they had each other and the memory of Samuel to guide them, they could face any challenge life threw at them. Thus, the story of love and care cultivated by Samuel continued to prosper, illuminating the hearts of those who were lucky enough to know him. As the sun set below the horizon, Evan and Lily knew they would keep Samuel's memory alive and be forever grateful for everything he did for them. Did you like the video? If you liked it, don't forget to leave a like. Your support makes all the difference and helps us continue to bring you more amazing content. Do you have any opinions, questions, or suggestions? Leave a comment below. I love reading and responding to what you have to say. And if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, subscribe now and activate the bell so you don't miss any news. We have new videos every week, and you won't want to miss out. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.